pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On guard! Order! Order! Right! Feet! Forward! March!
Halt! 1, 2.
Please be seated. Once again, good morning. My name is George Rossi, Battalion Chief here with Pompano Beach Fire Rescue, and I want to welcome everybody for joining us this morning at today's award ceremony. It's nice to see a nice turnout. Got a lot of familiar faces, a lot of new faces. Great to see family and friends here. It's a big, important day for us, so I'm glad you're able here to join us. Big round of applause for Black Pearl Pipe and Drums. It's always a great way to start off our ceremony. Nice to have a little tradition to start things off. So to keep things flowing, I'd like to welcome our Fire Chaplain, Paul Walker, to lead us in today's invocation.
Good morning. Would you join me for a moment of silence to recognize and to think about those who have passed away this past year as a part of our immediate Pompano Beach Fire Department family, and for those volunteer and professional firefighters who've given their lives in 2018. Father, we come to you this morning thankful for the lives that have sacrificed so much so that we could be protected. And Father, this morning, as I look around and as I see friends, Father, I pray for those who are about to enter retirement. Father, I pray that you would bless them, that you would ordain their next steps. Father, that even though their hearts may be here in the fire service, Father, I pray that you would transition them well. And Father, for those who are being recognized this morning, both individually and corporately, Father, we are thankful for their service. We're thankful for their excellence. And Father, for all the men and women who wear uniform, who are in this room this morning, Father, we thank you for the courage that they have to not only serve this community, but to serve each other. So Father, in the spirit of fire service, as brothers and sisters, Father, we just want to say thank you. Thanks for the camaraderie. Thank you for the brotherhood and sisterhood that is in this room. Thank you for this city that we are so able to serve. And Father, for those men and women who are coming on duty, Father, we pray that you would protect them, protect their hearts, protect their minds. Father, protect them physically. And Father, we pray that today would not only honor the lives of the men and women who sacrifice, but it would also honor you. So we pray this in your name. Amen.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to welcome our newly elected mayor, Mr. Rex Harden.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I want to welcome everyone here this morning. It's a great crowd. On behalf of the entire City Commission, I want to say welcome to this event. Throughout the year, we have an opportunity to go to a lot of different things, but I think I probably speak for the entire City Commission when I say this one's different. It's a special event, and I'm just so thankful that I could be here in the City Commission to honor everybody and welcome new recruits and welcome today. It's a wonderful ceremony. It's such a touching thing to see so many family and friends and parents, grandparents. It's really heartwarming to me. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor, as well as newly elected commissioners for joining us this morning. It means a lot to us. So now I'd like to introduce the gentleman who's responsible for having us all here today. He had an idea of starting this a few years back, and it's getting better and better as we go along. So at this time, I'd like to bring up Fire Chief John Durgle.
That has been the most nerve-wracking 10 minutes for me because I wasn't sure if I silenced my phone. I'm sitting back there, and I know, luckily I did. I'm sitting back there thinking, oh God, please no. Please no, don't go off. With my luck, it would have gone off during the pledge or something, but it is silenced. Welcome everybody, and good morning. Thank you all for coming out today. This is our 5th annual awards recognition and promotional ceremony, and as Chief Rossi said, we started this a few years ago with the idea of we have such great employees and such a great city that we work for that we wanted to get our family together and recognize everybody as a family for the achievements of our folks here as well as the wonderful things that happen in this city. It continues to get better, and we look forward to next year. And I must tell you, and I know I say it every year, the view from up here is just phenomenal. It is just beautiful. Take a minute, look around. I don't know if it's the same out there, but for me as the fire chief and for working in this city, I'm so proud of the men and women that work here for us, the family that we have in this city. And when I stand up here and look out, it's evident that there are good things happening here in Pompano Beach, and I'm proud of that. As you can see from the program in front of you, we have a very busy schedule today, and I appreciate your patience. My goal was 9 o'clock, but I could not help the traffic, so give me a little leeway there. But this morning we are going to honor 9 individuals who have recently retired from this fire department. Interestingly, collectively among all of them, 250 years of experience. 250 years of experience spread among 9 individuals. And today you will meet their replacements as folks here get promoted. That's a lot of experience over a lot of years. And I know that the people we are promoting are up to the challenge, and I know that the people retiring will make sure that they carry that forward well. We are going to recognize 21 individuals who are promoted this year. Those individuals are the future leaders of this fire department. They've accepted that challenge. There's a lot expected of them as we are a young department, and they're going to guide our vision on where we are headed. And lastly, we have 10 new recruits. These are individuals that are completing their first year here on the fire department. They are the future, and they are embarking on a new career, a long and healthy career, I hope, for all of you, and I hope you make a difference every day that you come to work. And finally, today we're going to announce various awards that our department presents to not only its employees, but citizens of Pompano Beach. And I think it's always interesting to acknowledge and realize that those awards that are presented to our employees as well as the citizens here at Pompano Beach are not awards given out by myself as the fire chief or my staff. Those individuals receiving those awards are selected by a committee of their peers. And I truly believe there is no greater honor than to be recognized by your peers. So we are proud of what our promotional and awards committee has done, and we are proud of the folks that they have selected for awards this year. However, before we get to all that, I'd like to take a moment and recognize some folks here with us today and throughout the city. And I'd like to start with our previous commissioners. Many of them are here, as well as our previous mayor and now county commissioner, Mayor Fisher. I have had the luxury of working with previous commissions that have always, and mayors that have always been so supportive of this fire department and our vision and where we are going and what we have done. We could not have accomplished nearly what we have accomplished here in the last 5 or 6 years if it wasn't for the support of Mayor Fisher, now County Commissioner Fisher, and the wonderful commissions that we've worked with over the last few years. So I thank you, Commissioner Fisher, as well as all the former commissioners here. We are equally excited to be heading out on a new venture with these some new commissioners, Vice Mayor Moss, Mayor Harden. We are excited to work with them. We know that they are excited to continue the process and the positive things that are happening on this fire department and in this city, and we look forward to working with all of you for the next couple of years. Interestingly, each year we schedule this event. We schedule it on the same day that our retirees have their holiday luncheon. And we do that with a purpose. And the purpose of that is so that we are able to recognize our retirees that are here with us today. Folks retire from this fire department. Oftentimes they move to different parts of the state, different parts, and everybody's busy. But this is the one opportunity when we can get together as a family, whether it be here or afterwards at the luncheon, thank each other for everything that they've done. And personally for me, I thank the retirees for laying such a strong foundation for myself and the men and women on this fire department to stand on as we move forward and take this fire department forward in a positive way. If I could get the retirees to stand up so we could acknowledge you, I'd appreciate that, please. We are always so fortunate to have Chief Hedges here. Chief Hedges, I'm glad to see you're doing well and feeling better and survived the ravages of Hurricane Michael up there. Chief Hedges drives down all the time when we have an event. He lives up in the Tallahassee Panhandle area there. We appreciate you coming down. I'm glad to see you're doing well and things are getting back to normal up there for you. Finally, these events, as I said, we're on our 5th year and I do absolutely nothing. I must tell you, it's a phenomenal event and I do nothing. I have such great folks around me that put this on and I just show up and get the accolades, and that's wonderful. But I would be remiss if I didn't thank some of these folks, and if I don't do it now, at the end you'll all want to go back and eat that wonderful food that Sidecar Kitchen has back there, so I'd like to do it now. I want to start with our CERT members that are here. Those of you that are familiar with our CERT program, it is absolutely one of the best in the county, in the country. But more importantly for me, our CERT members are folks that this fire department can count on all the time. I call them my angels in green, because whenever we need them to set up chairs, participate events, show up on fire scenes with the canteen, they're always there for us. So these events absolutely could not happen without our CERT members. This is our 5th year here, absolutely. This is our 5th year here at the Larkin Center, and they make it so easy to do it here. They take care of everything for us. Any ask, any request we have, they just look at me and say, not a problem, we'll take care of it. So kudos and thank you to folks here at the Larkin Center and Parks and Rec in general. As I said, my staff, Chief Hull, Chief Ricotta, Chief Galgano, Kimberly Spill, Pete McGinnis, I'm going to stop there because I don't want to miss anybody, but really they start working on this tomorrow for next year with the promotional review, with the awards and promotional committee. And without them, this would not happen. They work tirelessly throughout the year. They do a phenomenal job. They take care of all the details. And I truly, truly thank them for that. And there's one more person that I absolutely have to thank, and it's our city manager, Greg Harrison. Yeah. Absolutely. I've worked here a long time, and I've been in administration a long time. And I've had the privilege of working now with 4 city managers, working for or with 4 city managers, and they have all absolutely been wonderful. very supportive. They've done a great job. And I will tell you, Mr. Harrison is a true people person. I have never met anybody more people-centric than him. He started a phrase here when he first became city manager, which is do good, and he lives by that. He lives by that. Every day that he comes to work, whether it's an employee or something for this city, his sole purpose is to try to do good. He's a great boss. I know that I speak for all the employees of this city when we say we're proud to work for you. We applaud your vision and leadership for this city, and thank you very much. So, this morning we will honor and recognize individuals who have committed their lives to public service. They have all chosen to be servants, to take care of others during their most trying times, whether it be a fire, an emergency medical situation, all those myriad of types of emergency responses that we run every year. These folks that you will see here today have chosen that profession. They've chosen to be a public servant. And I think sometimes when you peel that back and you get to that basic question of why, and you ask any of these individuals, why would you do that? Why would you go to work every day and risk your life? Why would you take time away from your family on the holidays? And you ask them why they do that, there is no doubt in my mind that every one of these wonderful men and women that work for our fire department will tell you it's pretty simple. They do it because they like to help people. They've chosen that profession to be a servant to the public, and they do it because they like to help people. And I can't tell you what a wonderful job that is, having had the privilege to do that myself for a while, to go out and help people every day, have that opportunity to make a difference each and every day that you come to work. It's just a phenomenal experience. And ultimately, to have the opportunity to save a person's life, which they will many times throughout their career, is something truly special. And I cannot think of a more rewarding profession than one in public service, whether it's as a firefighter, a police officer, or in the military. So as I said, today we will honor and recognize some of the best that Pompano Beach has to offer. And we'd also like to acknowledge and recognize some of our individuals that have a military tie or military background. We have strong ties in this fire department, in this city, with the military, whether it be the fact that we have folks that have served in the past, or many of our employees continue to serve in the reserves. And this organization is very proud of that. Can I have people who have been in the military or in the military stand to be acknowledged, please? Thank you for your service. I say that because obviously today is December 7th. But more importantly, or as important as we celebrate and recognize our folks, it's also a day of remembrance in our country. Because today is Pearl Harbor Day. Today is a day when back in 1941, 2,335 military personnel and 68 civilians lost their lives. So while it is a day of celebration for us, for many in the military and for many of those families that are still alive, it is a day of remembrance, and we recognize and honor that. Last year when we began planning this event, they realized that it was going to be on Pearl Harbor Day, which for us, we take notice of. We realized that it would be an opportunity not only to honor and recognize our employees for their achievements, but also to honor and recognize their military service, as well as all military service for individuals. One of the goals that we established was to have a speaker from the military, something we've never done, to have a keynote speaker. We reached out to Captain Rodriguez, and he graciously accepted our offer to be our keynote speaker today. And if you look at your program, you can see Captain Rodriguez has had an incredible and amazing bio and tenure in the service. He's a commanding officer of Joint Base Anacostia Bowling. All right. He is a naval officer and aviator who operationally has flown a variety of helicopters and has served in numerous capacities during his time in the U.S. Navy. Captain Rodriguez has received a slew of medals, awards, and citations for his military service, and we are truly proud to have him here today as our guest speaker. Please thank you for coming and
All right, good morning, everyone. What a build-up, what a welcome. No pressure, right? Don't want to screw this up. I can just picture at the end of this, you guys are like, that's it? Be a real awkward conversation between my cousin and the chief here. Probably have to get an Uber back to the airport. So, good morning, everyone, and thanks for that warm welcome. Mayor Hardin, city commissioners, the men and women of Pompano Beach Fire Rescue, families, friends, and of course my cousin George and our family in attendance today. So it's great to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of such an amazing event. I'll tell you, I'm absolutely thrilled and I'm humbled to be here. And I'm not gonna lie, really appreciate that you got me out of Washington, D.C. down to beautiful sunny Florida. So it's all good. Thank you, nothing wrong with that. In all seriousness, let me say that it is an absolute honor to be standing here in front of you, speaking to a group of individuals I've admired for as long as I can remember. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here and you're who you are. In fact, I'll tell you, it was experiences in my childhood witnessing the New York City Fire Department in action, where I first got an appreciation of what it means to serve, and ultimately, for me, choosing to serve. One particular memory is forever ingrained in my mind from back in the mid-1980s. The house was on fire late one night, a few blocks from mine. Completely engulfed, it lit up the entire neighborhood. And I'm sure it's very similar to fires most of you have had to battle many times over in your careers. Unbelievable scene, huge crowd watching. I remember seeing the FDNY race up and go right to work. When others were running away or not doing a thing and admiring the tragedy unfolding before them, these professionals absolutely engaged and owned the situation. They moved swiftly, deliberately towards and into the home. I remember seeing one firefighter inside the house through a large bay window on the first floor. Flames all around him as he used his pike pole, is that the right tool? And had flaming debris literally raining down on him. At the same time, as other members of his team had hoses going, one firefighter emerged from the front door, flames and smoke all around, carrying a small child. I spent a while that night watching these pros in awe. Service. Not just service, but selfless service. It really hit me at that moment and made such an impression on me. These firefighters didn't know these people. They probably would have been justified to just man the hoses and not endanger their lives entering a home that most would consider a suicide mission. But they did. And they did because they get it. Because if not them, then who? They embraced and lived service, as do all of you. And it's worth noting those firefighters that day were from my old neighborhood firehouse, Rescue 4. The same unit that some years later on September 11th would tragically lose their entire team in the collapse of World Trade Center South Tower. So heroes, every one of them, although given the humility I observed that night, they probably wouldn't have accepted that title. So it's also worth noting that, as Chief Jurgle said, that 77 years ago today, December 7th, 1941, was the attack on Pearl Harbor. And while many recognize and appreciate the significance of the event, I'm not sure many are aware of the extraordinary contributions and heroism of the Honolulu Fire Department that day. Many coming in off duty, racing towards a crisis that was occurring on base as others were fleeing in the opposite direction. They battled fires, intended to and rescued the injured while the attack was still ongoing. Through wave after wave of attack from enemy aircraft, the firefighters continued their tireless and courageous work with limited water, and while also repairing their rigs and equipment that had been damaged by bullet holes and shrapnel. In the end, tragically, 3 Honolulu firefighters died in the attack, and countless others injured. The military awarded 9 Purple Hearts for their heroic actions, and that's the only civilian firefighters ever be given that honor. So much like I mentioned previously with the story of the FDNY, these men had many justifiable reasons to not take the actions they did. But they did, and thankfully they did. So I mention these stories for a few reasons. For one, they're obviously amazing stories of courage, commitment, and service. This last one in particular because of the coincidence that it's December 7th today, and you got some Navy guy talking to a bunch of firefighters. So it seemed fitting. But most importantly, I mention them because they demonstrate the foundation that defines our professions: service. Taking it a step further, it's about servant leadership, where we are servants first, putting the needs of others before our own. It's about wanting to help others, about identifying and meeting the needs of our teammates and those we come across. A story I heard a while back to help demonstrate servant leadership is about Secretary of Defense James Mattis. Back in 1998, when he was a one-star general. Any Marines in the audience? Hoorah! I mean, you know you got Marines, never any ex-Marines, right? You're always a Marine. Well, in this story, it was Christmas, and the Commandant of the Marine Corps at the time, General Krulak, four-star general in charge of the entire United States Marine Corps, would deliver cookies to every Marine duty post around Washington, D.C. and Quantico, Virginia. He was making his final delivery at Quantico when he asked the Marine on duty, "Who was the officer of the day today?" And the Lance Corporal said, "Sir, it's Brigadier General Mattis, sir." And the Commandant said, No. I know who General Mattis is. I mean, who's the officer of the day today? Christmas Day. And Lance Corporal, feeling now a little anxious, he's got a four-star general that he's going to have to respond to again and say, "Sir, it's Brigadier General Mattis." And the Commandant, now getting a little frustrated himself, looks around the corner and he's spotting a cot in the back of the room. It's been completely unkept. Somebody else has slept in. He says, "No, Lance Corporal, who slept in that bed last night?" Lance Corporal again said, "Sir, it was Brigadier General Mattis, sir." And about that time, General Mattis comes around the corner in a duty uniform. And the Commandant says, "Jim, what are you doing here on Christmas Day? Why do you have duty?" And he said, "Sir, there was a young officer who had it, who's married and has a family. I thought it was better for him to spend Christmas with his family, and so I took the duty for him." So, that's servant leadership. So, I'm not Secretary Mattis, far from it, but thank you. I agree, absolutely. Unbelievable. Those of you who don't know, generals don't stand duty, but he does, and he still does. So I can tell you from personal experience that now Secretary Mattis does something similar. He came around last Christmas to the base to pay a surprise visit to our folks standing watch and on duty, and he brought cookies. And when I was planning to come in and greet and escort him, like I typically do when senior leadership comes by, his staff advised me he doesn't want that. He didn't want the attention or to take people away from their families on Christmas. So, that's Secretary Mattis for you, about as real and tremendous leader as you'll get. So, that's just one example. One small, selfless act like that has the ability to profoundly affect individuals, you can tell, and resonate across the organization to make it a more cohesive, motivated, and committed team. Leaders who embrace the servant leadership philosophy focus on taking care of their people for their own good, not just the good of the organization. And it goes beyond their own team, with a concern for the success of everyone they deal with: employees, customers, communities, society as a whole, including those who are the least privileged. In simple terms, it's a focus on the growth and well-being of people, not on power, not on material gain. Those are true leaders. And by the way, we're all leaders. If we wear a uniform and serve the public, we're leaders. And whether we choose to accept it or not, the public sees those of us in uniform, regardless of rank, as leaders, as well they should. And let's be proud of the privilege to serve, because it is a privilege, as well an honor. There are countless people that would trade places with us to serve as we do, to be part of amazing teams doing what we love. We're part of something great, bigger than us, something to be extremely proud of. But with that great privilege comes great responsibility, and all eyes are on us. We live in a fishbowl, especially when we're in uniform, which is fine. In fact, we welcome it. But we just need to make sure we always strive to do and be our very best every time, all the time. We are all ambassadors of our teams. Some people in the audience may remember Joe DiMaggio, famous New York Yankees center fielder known as the Yankee Clipper. Just checking if there's any Yankee fans in the audience. I guess not. Sorry. Played 13 years for the Yankees, Hall of Famer. Considered by many to be one of the greatest baseball players of all time. If you ever watched him play, and I've seen videos, his last game was in 1951, so I'm not that old. But the guy played his heart out. Would leave it all on the field. In fact, one time, later in his career, when he was already a star, a reporter asked why he hustled on plays that had little effect on the game's outcome or on his team's standing. And Joe replied, because there's always some kid who may be seeing me for the first time, and I owe my best. That's a testament of his work ethic. The guy was already a world champion, an all-star, most popular and talented ball player of his time, and he felt he owed it to some kid. Something to think about as it relates to our own performance, regardless of our experience and how good we may think we are. It's our best every time. A few other points on leadership I've picked up along the way, and then I'm going to wrap it up so we can get to the real reason we're here today, which is recognizing and celebrating tremendous accomplishments. So a few final thoughts, and I'll tell you these are strictly my opinions. And I'll keep it simple since I'm a simple guy. First, do the right thing. When you're faced with difficult choices in life, always take the high road and do what's morally right. And it sounds easy enough, but many failures can be traced to simply poor decisions where individuals deliberately chose to not do the right thing. Ownership. Own your job, own your duty, own your profession. When you're tasked or responsible for something, treat it as if it is literally yours, which requires knowing your profession cold. So study and train constantly and never stop learning. Take care of each other, both on and off duty, and it goes back to servant leadership. This is a team sport, and we need the best of each other in order to succeed. Know your people. Know their families. Welcome new members as soon as they check in. Check on your folks routinely. You eat last after all your people have their meals. Your job as a leader is to take care of them, not the other way around. The little things matter. Be positive, greet your folks, recognize and award outstanding performance. Even a simple thank you or a great job goes a long way. These are easy wins, and they're free. Remember, praise in public, reprimand in private. Treat everyone you come across, regardless of rank or background, with dignity and respect. Have balance in your life and encourage the same of your folks. If all you do is CrossFit, pick up a book every once in a while. Likewise, if all you do is read, pick up some weights. And always make time, schedule it if you have to spend time with family and friends. I don't believe anyone on their deathbed ever said, man, I wish I would have spent more time at work. And please, let's put down the cell phone and get up from behind our screens. I mean this, it's okay to talk face to face with other human beings. Really, it is. In fact, I highly encourage and recommend it, especially to help mentor our teammates, and oh, by the way, to get a true boots on the ground sense of what's happening in our organizations, both with our people and our facilities. Like an old saying goes, at least in the Navy, expect what you inspect. And when it comes to goals, whether they're personal, professional, or for our teams, remember, they're only words unless you actually do something about it. If it's truly your goal, you will take action. Remember that. If it is truly your goal, you will take action. And finally, I want to leave you with a quote from President Teddy Roosevelt. And I'll tell you, I'm not big on quotes, but this one strikes a chord with me, and maybe it will with you too, because it's fitting for those of us in service. And maybe some of you have heard it before. The quote is known as "The Man in the Arena." Taken from a speech where Roosevelt railed against cynics who looked down at people who were trying to make the world a better place. He said, and I quote, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Hoorah. Ladies and gentlemen at Pompano Beach Fire Rescue, thank you for your extraordinary courage, selfless commitment, and dedicated service to being that man and woman in the arena. Congratulations to all the awardees, promotees, and retirees.
Thanks again for inviting me, for giving me the honor of speaking to you today, and for listening. And thank you to the family and friends that support these amazing men and women. But most of all, thank you, Pompano Beach Fire Rescue, for your exemplary service before self. God bless you, your families, all first responders everywhere, and God bless our great nation. Thank you.
So much like the Academy Awards, we have a swag bag for Captain Rodriguez. We also have, because we know he has a big office from what we understand. We also understand that he has some wall space or something that he needs to take up. So for us in our fire service, there's no greater honor than to present a helmet to someone. This helmet, which was signed by many or all of the folks being promoted, my command staff, we present to you. I wanted to give you a white one, which was the fire chief's helmet, but they said, no, you want a working man helmet. So, there we go. Now, one last thing before we get started, Mayor Hardin asked that we save the best for last. He has a couple introductions that he would like to make.
Thank you, Chief. For those of you who don't know, I'm just recently became the mayor here in Pompano Beach, following great footsteps of our former mayor, Lamar Fisher. And I made a rookie mistake here. I neglected to introduce my colleagues who work with me every day to make the city a better place. So I'd like to introduce my colleagues here. Start off with Vice Mayor Barry Moss. Next to him, we have Commissioner Beverly Perkins. Next, we have newly elected Commissioner Rhonda Eaton. Following, we have newly elected Commissioner Tom McMahon. And last, but certainly not least, we have newly elected Commissioner Andrea McGee. Thank you very much for giving me that extra opportunity. Thank you.
All right, how we doing? Good. Excellent. So, just a brief point of personal privilege. I want to thank my cousin Jose taking time out to coming down here today. When we talked about this about a year ago, not sure if it'll work out with his schedule and all, but he was able to pull it off, so we appreciate it. Love you, cuz. All right, so to keep things rolling, let's go on to the awards presentation. And Assistant Chief Michael Hole is going to get us through the awards presentation.
Good morning. Our first award is the Citizen Heroism Award. And I would like to invite up to the platform, to my left, Maria Emilio Torres. She could please make her way up. On March 13, 2018, the residents of the Intercoastal Tower, located at 1505 North Riverside Drive, were involved in a fire incident that would change the building outlook forever. Pompano Beach Fire Rescue was dispatched to a general fire alarm at 1:12 a.m. Upon arrival, Engine 11 noted the building was being evacuated and there was smoke and flames visible from the 7th floor. Fire rescue crews went to work in the evacuation or rescue of over 100 residents and extinguishing this difficult fire on the 7th floor of a 15-story high-rise condominium. Behind the scenes, Mrs. Maria Amelia Torres continually informed fire rescue crews on scene of unique building characteristics, which proved to be helpful with the overall fire rescue operations. She also checked on the residents of the building to make sure they were as comfortable as possible during the event. In addition, she secured the lobby at 1401 North Riverside Drive, the adjacent building to the south, to stage the evacuated residents, and then acted as the fire department's liaison. This location was able to be used by the American Red Cross to initially tend to the needs of displaced residents. After the fire, Mrs. Amelia Thor's work did not stop. She worked tirelessly with the City of Pompano Beach Building Department and the Fire Prevention Bureau to get the building safe for occupancy. She also worked on mitigating life safety issues to assure this would never happen in her building again. Mrs. Amelia Thor's not only had 100% of the fire penetration from the building sealed, but also worked towards meeting the engineered life safety system requirements. Ultimately, 1505 North Riverside Drive will have a full fire sprinkler system, functioning fire dampers, functioning fire doors, and compartmentalization in the corridors. None of this would have occurred without her tireless effort and work on these important issues. Mrs. Amelia Thor's is a true hero, working behind the scenes every day to mitigate hazards and protect the residents of 1505 North Riverside Drive. Pompano Beach Fire Rescue is honored to recognize Maria Amelia Thor's with the 2018 Citizen Heroism Award. Next, I would like to invite up to the platform Paramedic of the Year, firefighter Daniel Hudson. On July 9, 2018, Rescue 103 responded to an adult male patient who, during a coughing fit, completely dislodged his stoma. Upon arrival, the patient was in moderate respiratory distress and then quickly decompensated. The suctioning and high flow oxygen provided by the rescue crew were ineffective, and the patient went into respiratory arrest and started to become bradycardic with a widened QRS wave on the EKG and a heart rate in the 30s, signaling an almost imminent cardiac arrest. Through calm and clear communication, firefighter paramedic Daniel Hudson and Lieutenant Charles Fay simultaneously agreed to attempt to cut down an endotracheal tube and place it in the patient's trachea opening. Neither member of the crew had ever performed this or had been trained to do it, but rather had only heard of the procedure during their paramedic training. Firefighter paramedic Hudson quickly cut down the endotracheal tube to the perfect length, placed the adapter back on the tube, and inserted the endotracheal tube in the patient's trachea opening and secured it in place. This entire procedure was done smoothly and effectively in a very short period of time. Once the airway was secured, the rescue crew were able to effectively ventilate the patient and raise his oxygen saturation from below 50% to as high as 98%. With the increase in oxygen, the patient went from bradycardia to a more stable sinus tachycardia. On arrival at Broward Health North, the attending physician stated that the actions of the rescue crew absolutely saved the patient's life. We applaud firefighter paramedic Daniel Hudson's poise and proper rapid intervention, the 2018 paramedic award. Next, we'd like to invite up to the stage the 2018 Officer of the Year, Lieutenant Elio Estopino. Lieutenant Elio Estopino was nominated for Officer of the Year by the members of his crew. He has been a great role model, not only to his crew, but to the department as a whole. Lieutenant Estopino conducts himself as a professional both on and off duty and continues to represent Pompano Beach Fire Department at the highest level. His attitude, passion, and commitment towards the fire service in general are exemplary. Lieutenant Estopino is highly respected among his colleagues, and his leadership on emergency scenes is second to none. He performs his fire service duties in a manner that exemplifies the competency that reflects the highest standards of the fire service. He regularly demonstrates the ability to lead or follow based on the existing circumstances. Elio Estopino has always been a reliable firefighter on the fire ground. The experience he has and continues to obtain are reflected in his fire ground abilities and confidence. On March 13, 2018, Lieutenant Estopino and his rescue crew were dispatched to a working high-rise fire with multiple people trapped in their 7th floor apartments. In the face of extreme heat and smoke conditions, Lieutenant Estopino and his crew displayed tremendous courage while rescuing multiple fire victims. In 2 different rescue attempts, Lieutenant Estopino led his crew and searched 2 different apartments on the fire floor, which resulted in the rescue of 4 trapped residents and 1 dog. Due to Estopino's quick thinking and determination, these victims were able to escape the fire without any life-threatening injuries. It is with great pleasure that we recognize the 2018 Officer of the Year, Lieutenant Elio Estopino. I would like to invite up the 2018 Company of the Year. Captain Matthew Aldrich, Lieutenant Johnny Lorenzo, Driver Engineer Steven Sirota, Firefighter Paramedic David Morrill, Megan Garesi, Douglas Ullman, and Dylan McMahon. September 5th, 2018, Engine 63 and Rescue 24 responded to a construction accident with reports of a construction worker who was using a gas-powered saw that struck him in the chest. Rescue crews arrived to find a large multi-story building under construction on North Dixie Highway and a young male lying in a deep trench. Many construction workers were all frantically helping to dig a path down for firefighters to reach the victim. Rescue crews then carefully crawled into an open trench where the man had been working to find a 27-year-old male who had suffered a life-threatening injury, a large laceration deep into his chest. Rescue crews quickly bandaged his chest with trauma dressings to help control the bleeding and placed him on a backboard. At the same time, construction workers were able to use an excavator to dig into part of the trench and create a ramp that would allow for the safe removal of the patient from the trench. With the crew of Engine 63 in the trench and the crew of Rescue 24 outside the trench, the patient, who was now strapped to a backboard, was slid up and out of the 10-foot hole to safety. Due to his life-threatening injury, the construction worker was then quickly loaded in the transport unit where he was provided advanced life support and rushed to the local trauma center. At Broward Health North Trauma Center, the patient was immediately taken to the operating room for surgery in stable condition. In recognition of the quick actions of Engine 63 and Rescue 24 that helped save a life, we congratulate the 2018 Company of the Year.
You guys are way too big, man. You have to use that wide angle. Yeah. All right, let's go.
And last but certainly not least, the William Fay Award for Exemplary Dedication goes to Lieutenant Hector Jimenez. Lieutenant Hector Jimenez has been with Pompano Beach Fire Rescue just over 6 years. In this relatively short time frame, his dedication to the fire department has been demonstrated in so many ways. Jimenez is a member of the apparatus committee that researches and designs all fire rescue vehicles. He volunteers to assist with the probationary firefighter classes whenever he is needed. Lieutenant Jimenez was involved with testing new handheld computers and software for electronic EMS patient care reporting. He is also part of the fire department clown program. No pun. Jimenez is the event coordinator for the Firefighters Benevolent and created the Benevolent Kickball event. Lieutenant Jimenez has also reestablished the fire department extrication competition team. He single-handedly coordinated all the training sessions, getting vehicles from Emerald Towing, and met with fire administration regarding team events and gear for the team. Jimenez set up everything to get the team ready for their first extrication competition, which occurred in November 2018. Lieutenant Jimenez's dedication and team participation helped the team win first place for Best Command and second place for Limited Pit at the National Extrication Challenge in Jacksonville, Florida, in their very first competition. Jimenez is the go-to person whenever things need to be done, because he always steps up and does whatever is necessary to make things a success. Congratulations to the 2018 William Fay Award for Exemplary Dedication, Lieutenant Hector Jimenez.
Congratulations to all these award recipients. So now we're going to lead into promotion presentations. First, we're going to acknowledge and recognize newly promoted driver engineers. All you driver engineers, come up to the platform, please. So the position of driver engineer, all these promotions that we're going to announce did not come easy. A lot of time and effort goes into these promotions. Time within department, time within rank, and certain educational requirements to come along with each promotional position. So this year's recent driver engineer promotions, we have Jacob Dufresne, Brian Dunn, Sean McGuire, Mark Piper, and Carlos Tovar. Congratulations. The position of driver engineer is a critical position. Not only do they drive and operate the aerials and fire engine apparatus to and from emergency scenes, but they also are the pump operator. They deal with all the hydraulics that go along with getting water to the fire, which is sort of a critical component of a fire call. And then they also help out with all issues, all equipment that are on the truck, maintenance of the equipment on the trucks as well. And they have various other duties throughout the firehouse, throughout the course of duty as well. Next, we're going to acknowledge newly promoted lieutenants. Lieutenants, please come up to the right side of the stage, please. So this year's newly promoted lieutenants are Travis Darisaw, Danny Diaz, Michael Gould, Wilson Ledger, Arjun Serju, Kyle Stewart. Lieutenant Wilson Ledger is being pinned by his bride, Wilman Ledger. The lieutenant position is that of an officer on the rescue truck. In order to be a lieutenant, you have to have a certain amount of time on the job, certain educational requirements, be a Florida Certified Fire Officer 1 certified, as well as paramedic certified. They are the sole responsible officer for the crew on the rescue trucks, coordinating operations on fire and medical emergencies. They work hand in hand with the fire captains at the station level. Next, we'd like to announce Fire Inspector. Our newest member of the Fire Inspection Bureau is Ashley Zalewski.
Good job.
Fire inspectors must be Florida Certified Firefighter 2, Fire Safety Inspectors, as well as EMT and/or paramedic certified. And they also must be Broward County Certified Fire Inspectors. Next up, fire captains. Make your way up to the right, please. Newly promoted Captain Jason DeCoyne. Brandon Boudreau. Charles Fay. Chris Ferreira. Daniel Friesmuth. David Harwell. And Matt McCarran. Brandon Boudreau is being pinned by his father, Mark Boudreau. Captain Dave Harwell is being pinned by Captain Patrick Cronin. No pressure. Position of fire captain doesn't come easy. As well, you have to have years of experience, educational requirements, including fire officer 2 certified and paramedic, minimum of an associate's degree, and pass that grueling assessment as well as written examination. Congratulations. Next up, Battalion Chief Matt Whitten. Make your way to the right, please. Battalion Chief is the shift officer in charge of overseeing fire stations and combat personnel. Total of 6 stations in the city. Each shift has 2 battalion chiefs on duty. They divide the city in half. You must be a Florida Certified Fire Officer 3, as well as a paramedic, and a minimum of a bachelor's degree in order to qualify for the examination. Next promotion is that of Training Commander. Our newly promoted Training Commander is Donald Desmond. Training Commander is responsible for the coordination and delivery of all training departments. Excuse me, I thought he was coming to me. He's responsible for coordinating and delivering all the training for the department. They must be a Florida Certified Fire Instructor 3, as well as a paramedic, and a minimum of a bachelor's degree. Congratulations. Congratulations to all those recently promoted this past year, and good luck moving forward. Next is our recruit ceremony. Our newly recruits, make your way up to the right, please. So these folks have completed their first year of probation on the job, but getting here is no easy feat. In order to qualify for the position, first you gotta get hired. In order to get hired, you have to be a certified paramedic, as well as complete minimum standards. And then the grueling process of getting hired. Getting hired is no easy feat. You have to go through a promotional interview process, background checks, psychological evaluations. We can talk about that later. Background checks, and then begins the fun of a year of probation. That year of probation is quarterly exams throughout the year to test their fire knowledge as well as EMS knowledge. And then they have to make sure they fit into our family. And so far it looks like they've passed the test this first year. So this year's newly recruits are Anthony Annunziata, Brandon Kale, Amber Corona, Michael Desane, Jose Gil Bentoncourt, Jairo Perez, Leonardo Rojas Ramirez. This is fun to say it that way. Hunter Sims. Jerry McTooks cannot be with us today, and Fernando Zavala. Amber Corona was pinned by her father, Battalion Chief Battalion Chief Hector Corona. Hunter Sims is being pinned by Battalion Chief, soon to be retired, Ted Patton. Chief Patton said he wanted to say a few words. Congratulations, everybody. Now we have a retiree presentation. Our recent retirees this past year are our training commander Theodore Martin of 38 years, Captain Richard Brito, 29 plus years. Douglas Henry, 23 plus years. Captain Deborah Zimmerman of 33 years. Fire Inspector John DeVoe, 33 years. Drive Engineer Mitchell Grossman, 15 years. Drive Engineer Frank Pete Morcat, 33 years. Firefighter Scott Friend, 33 years. And we have our office assistant, Zoraida Cruz, of 24 years. Retired, if you're here, make your way up to the front, please. Here they come, they're slowly making their way. Those 33 years take a toll. Congratulations, all this year's retirees. Go enjoy that retirement now. I'd like to call up one more time Fire Chief John Driggle for closing remarks.
Well, that's all we have for 2018. Before we wrap this up, there are two individuals that I do want to recognize, and I purposely saved them for last. Steve Hudson, who is our union president, did a phenomenal job with our union. We've always been proud of the relationships that administration and our union has had, and Steve is doing an incredible job here with Local 1549. Our medical director sitting up front here, Dr. Farrell, stand please. We're one of the few departments that have had a medical director for close to 30 years. All the success that we have in our EMS field is because of this young man right here. We look forward to many more years with you as our medical director. Thank you very much. So again, I want to sincerely thank everybody for coming out today. We are family. This is our family gathering. I wish everybody happy holidays. We have some great food in the back from Sidecar Kitchen. We want and encourage you to hang out here a little bit. You can take pictures with the mayor and all the dignitaries, but eat some food, get some great pictures, and thank you for coming.